Hello YouTube, welcome back to the channel. Been a while since I posted. I know I haven't been really posting many videos. It's just I've been a busy time, as it usually is, between a job change that I had at the end of last year. That's kind of kept me busy, and then spring into summer gets busy with my kids and sports. Don't find much free time, but got a new watch that I thought I would make a quick video to talk about. It's a watch that's been on my list for quite some time. It's the GWG-2000 Mudmaster. So I've been kind of looking at this watch for quite some time. I just couldn't justify the money, just because I do have a lot of G-Shocks, and I've kind of really committed to my Garmin watches, so the G-Shocks don't quite get the wear they once used to, so I couldn't really stomach the cost. But I recently sold my Frogman because it was just too large, wasn't getting the wear, so I put up for sale, sold it, and then one of these came up. I decided to, you know what, I've got to at least experience it, I've got to try it. I'd like to think I'll probably keep it because I do enjoy it, but you know how the watch world works, you just one in, one out. But anywho, very excited to finally have it. Really nice watch, much nicer in person than it does look in the pictures. It's got a metallic bezel, which really kind of, I think, kind of classes it up a little bit, and moves it kind of away from that kind of, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still a tool watch. By no means is this like a dress watch, but I feel like it does kind of move it a little bit away from kind of an all plastic watch to some kind of premium looking, and I think also the analog also kind of classes it up a little bit, if that makes sense. So it does kind of, I feel like, become a little bit of a more kind of daily wearable watch. I don't know where I'm going with this, but it just looks nicer. Okay, now it is a big watch, so there's no denying that. This is the Ranger Man right here, and this watch does look and feel heavier. I mean, it's noticeably bigger, heavier. In every dimension, it's bigger. I mean, you can kind of fit the Ranger Man under the Mudmaster. But all that being said, the watch is extremely comfortable, just mainly because how they design it. It's got very nice rounds here, and even though it's a beefy watch, the lug to lug on these watches is never, so it's hard to know where to measure from, to be honest. But if you go from like the from the bolt to bolt, from the screw here, it's about 52, which obviously is big, but I feel like it should be somewhere kind of over here because it kind of curves so aggressively. So it's almost like high 40s, which there are some dress watches or some mechanical watches that put up those numbers. So the lug to lug on this thing is not as big as the watch overall's proportions may lend it to be, which makes it a very comfortable watch to wear. So this watch wears very comfortably. You don't notice the weight. You don't really notice it like you think you would. And that's because it just kind of molds around your wrist. So I've got about a 7-inch wrist. Give or take, it depends how humid it is, but I always say it's just a tiny bit under 7. But I think it wears very comfortably, and I'm a lefty, so I wear my watch on the right hand, and I also sometimes will, these sensor watches, the sensor can kind of get in the way a little bit, where it digs into my wrist, and I'm not quite getting that here as bad, at least. So it's a very, very comfortable wearing watch. Like, you would, I would have no issues wearing this daily from a comfort standpoint. Now it's a little tall, a little kind of bulky, so long sleeves and jackets, dress shirts are going to be a problem. But for just like outside of that, it would not bother me wearing this. Where the Frogman I thought was just a little too big. That's why I got rid of it. It just had a ton more bulk on the kind of the wingspan. It just stuck out way more. It was heavier. It was just a hard watch to wear, so that's why I ended up getting rid of it. But this one, much more wearable, and just looks nicer too. Originally, I wanted the kind of the desert, kind of yellowish band color, but then I settled on green because I thought it would be a little bit more subdued. Feature-wise, there isn't a whole lot to go into it. This packs all the same features you typically find on like the Rangeman. A lot of the Pro Treks, all those types of watches. It's your ABC, altitude barometer, compass. You can kind of zoom in here and kind of see right here, barometer, temperature, last received, stopwatch, timer, world time, alarm are kind of the main features here. So it works like, they all kind of work the same. So I'm not going to spend too much time on all the features here. I think what I like most about this watch is the analog. I always find I like analog watches for some reason a little more than all digital. So wanted to kind of really just feel this, test it out, and just experience it to see how it is. Now, cons from that perspective, I don't want to say it's a con, but a lot of people, and I've read in forums that this Mudmaster kind of gets crowned as like kind of this, end all, be all, toughest watch. Like this is the one watch you should have for the end of the world. And in my opinion, I don't agree with that. Well, this is a robust watch. I'll give it that. Analog is always going to be, I feel like, inferior to all digital. Digital can take way more abuse than analog can. There's moving parts. A hit can mess it up. I mean, again, I know these are built tougher, but nevertheless, I feel like that's always going to be a weak point to the watch is going to be the movement. If debris gets in there, it could mess it up. A hard hit could mess it up. It's moving parts. Moving parts versus no moving parts. I'll always take no moving parts if it comes down to it. So if I were, if I needed to grab one watch and be dropped off in the middle of the woods or something like that, I would still probably take the Rangeman, or probably even my Pro Trek, to be honest, over the Mudmaster. I would have more faith in this one. I mean, ultimately, I think the toughest watch is the Frogman, because the Frogman combines the build materials and all digital. So, these unfortunately are all kind of, I guess, plastic. You can say, resin, whatever you want to call it. This one's got carbon fiber with some metal to it, which is, improvement. But you still have a case back that's not a screw down, which is always going to be inferior to like a traditional screw down case back. So the Frogman is by far a superior build quality. The Frogman features a screw down case back, a all metal body enclosed in that resin shroud, and it's all digital. So so if there's one watch that I think is like the ultimate, beast survivor watch, whatever you want to call it, that's going to be the Frogman. And then after the Frogman, I'd probably take my Pro Trek or Rangeman over this one, just because it's analog. But that's just if we're speaking like in terms of the zombie apocalypse. Actually, quite frankly, my current favorite survivor watch is really the Garmin Instinct. This one is built extremely tough as well. I'd probably put it up there with these watches. It's obviously got a little bit more larger screen, some more electronics to display, but obviously the issue with like these Garmin Instincts is going to be battery life. These can really kind of go unlimited because they're all solar, but this one can come close if you disable all the sensors. So if you can put this into power save mode, where it turns off like the heart rate and all the other sensors, it's just kind of a watch. This can then in turn be an unlimited battery life as long as you expose it to sun, similar to these watches. So the Garmin's really been kind of stealing most of my wrist time. I just really like it a lot. But this one looks so cool. I really like how this one looks. It's a very kind of fun looking watch. It's kind of like the Rangeman, just with a little bit more character and just more to kind of enjoy. I love the sapphire. I love the metal shroud. I like the analog hands. It's just easier to tell time. So really enjoying this watch. So we'll see what the long term is, because I have been kind of trying to scale back some of my watches just because I've acquired too many. But actually, I'll bring it up here and you can kind of see that my some G-Shocks have kind of left the coop, as they say. I sold my green Rangeman, the one that I modded. It was on a channel. That one I sold. I sold the Frogman. I think those are the only two I got rid of. And then, I sold the Golfmaster, that white Golfmaster I used to have. That one went pretty quick as well. That I also modded. And so now we add the Mudmaster, and I'm kind of back to a full box here as well. And then I've got my two squares here that this one I'll probably give away to like my son or something because I've got too many of these, but I like both of these, and obviously my Oceana. So that's the current state of the Casio collection. But like I said, I mean, to be quite honest, I've really been wearing the crap out of my Garmin. I just love this Instinct watch. I just wear so calm. I mean, look at the size difference. I mean, this thing like dwarfs it. Like this could, I feel like, be encapsulated inside the Mudmaster. And obviously this just gives you a whole lot more. But, you know, they're just, the Garmin's are just not as fun as a G-Shock. So G-Shock is just like, I don't know, when I put the G-Shock on, it just kind of brings a smile, you know. It's just a interesting, fun watch, I guess is the best way to say it. Like, I enjoy wearing them because it's just so much going on and just so, like, attention grabbing. But that is it on this one. Not a whole lot more to say. I think it's a cool watch. Why did I choose this one over the 1000? No reason other than it's newer. I figured I might as well get the newest one. And actually, I do know why. I think the lume is better. I think if I remember, if my research is correct, if I recall correctly, I think the lume improved between the 1000 and the 2000. So that was an attraction point. But for the most part, they're very similar watches. So if you're in the market for one of these, I definitely think you should get it. You can't go wrong with it. It wears comfortably. It just has a whole host of features, super durable, rugged, especially if you like analog watches. I mean, this is as good as it gets for a robust analog movement. It's just a winner. So let me know if you have any questions. I'll try and answer them, but I think I've kind of not much more else to add here. The carbon fiber, I must say, kind of is a little deceiving because a couple of times I looked at it, I thought I had a scuff, like right here. You can kind of see, I'm like, wait a minute, how did it get scuffed away? But it's just like the carbon fiber. So at some angles, it'll kind of catch where it looks like the watch is like scuffed up, but it's just the carbon fiber. And the sapphire crystal is really nice as well. Very legible. Which just means it's got some good AR coating on it. So let's clean it up here, but it's got a very clean display. Like no, it's basically, I mean, you can tell a good quality crystal and AR versus a crap one, and this is a real nice one. I mean, it's as clear as it gets compared to like some other cheaper models that might use some kind of low quality AR coating, but this one is really clear. I mean, at some angles it looks like the glass is even there. You know, like right here, it almost looks like you can just touch the hands. And then the dial itself has got a kind of a cool design to it as well. So, yeah, very cool. All right, that's it for this one. GWG-2000, awesome watch, highly, strongly recommended. And if you have a chance to pick one up, you will not be disappointed. All right, I am out of here. Talk to you later.